Hi, this is Maginoni. We're going to do something a little bit different for the good, the bad, the disappointing. How about something along the lines of the good, the bad, the disappointing in the major crossovers, and who are we really getting that really isn't good? Well, all right, maybe there's some that's average. Now, my disclaimer is I did not get all the Rebirth books. I am getting all the number ones at a special discount through Discount Comic Book Services. So I just pick up occasionally one or two. My comic store was sold out of Action Comics, Wonder Woman, and The Flash, which really surprised me. Oh, and Aquaman was sold out too, but they threw it in my box, so I just said, all right, I'll just take it. And so again, that's really surprising that they didn't have any of those books, but they had a stack of Detective still. So let's take a look, see what we got here. New Avengers Secret Wars 2 tie-in. This is the biggest theft of your money of the year that I've seen so far. Now, some of you newer readers aren't familiar with what happened years ago. Marvel did Secret Wars and they did Crisis on Infinite Earths. They saw how popular this title was and how they could cross over into various books, but the problem was books were deep in their storylines and they couldn't technically cross over. So what they did was they threw a panel or two, maybe a page, and they would say, like, you'd have a story like, hey, like, let's say for an example, you had Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen walking down the street, and then they're talking about the Daily Planet. And then suddenly they would be like, there's a crisis going on Infinite Earths. And then there'd be the logo, the Crisis on Infinite Earths. And there'd be like a smoke and bad things happening. And then they would go back to walking. And Secret Wars did the same thing in that you would have, like, let's say Spider-Man's fighting the villains. And all of a sudden the Beyonder shows up and he's like, there is a Secret Wars 2. And then everything would go back to normal again. So that got huge backlash. People were pissed that they were told to buy these crossover books and they were not meaningful at all. Well, let me assure you, this book has absolutely no meaning in Secret Wars 2, and this should absolutely be 100% avoided for crossovers, if you're looking for that. Now, you do get a little bit of Marie Hill and S.H.I.E.L.D. They're talking about things. And then you get, oh, look at this. The Secret Wars 1 from the very beginning of Secret Wars 2, that issue. It's the same thing. The only difference is you get a couple extra pages of the magic. And, you have Wicked going, I don't really know if I'm worthy to be here. And then you get this nonsense. But, this is bullshit. And then once that's over, then they go back into the Avengers 1 storyline, or the new Avengers storyline. And it is theft, I think. Theft. It adds no value to the people who are reading Secret Wars, and if you try to argue the fact, well, you get to see what happens with the magic side, it's not worth that much money to find out what's happening with the magic side. All right, next up, Amazing Spider-Man 1 Civil Wars 2 tie-in. I'm on the fence with this one because basically what's going on is the Inhumans are loaning out their clairvoyant, or not really clairvoyant, they're what's it called, who can predict the future. And basically Spider-Man, because of his spider sense, he's like, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to put him through and I'm going to see where he's at. And he's basically trying to figure out how his powers work and where his heart is at. And the best part of this whole book is honestly this part where Peter Parker jumps into the bed with Johnny Storm and they're like, what the heck? Best part, once you get past that, it's just a typical Spider-Man book. And in fact, once he figures out that the guy's a good guy and he has powers, he gives him a job so he can figure out how to make more money and develop the right Parker Industry devices that can save millions of lives type thing. And then at the very end, he gets this dire warning that somebody's going to put on a costume and harm him. And I'm just like, you could have just put this in the regular issue and then just let him leave. You don't have to do this special nonsense. So I'm on the fence. In a way, it has some redeeming value, but other than that, there's really no redeeming value. Hercules, Gods of War 1. So here you are, you're thinking Civil War 2, it's Hercules, Gods of War. They're going to fight. They're going to join the battle with the Inhumans and the Marvel superheroes, X-Men, Avengers, and it's going to be freaking amazing, is probably what you're thinking to yourself. And let me assure you, that's not what happens at all. Again, what happens is you get a little bit about what's going on in Herc's life, and he's not a good, happy guy right now. And then we get, oh, look at this. This is the big Civil War II, very beginning, and we get to see with the big battle yet again, this time through the eyes of Hercules, but this time there's the new gods who are jacking with him, and they're basically trying to make Hercules lose his friends, because his friends are thinking he's a little off, because they can't even see these gods here, as Hercules is struggling against them. And at the very end, it's basically Hercules calling in this old gang of gods to take on the new gods. Again, it's a tie-in that's not a tie-in. It's a joke. They just slapped Civil War. Yeah, Civil War. For some reason, I was thinking Secret Wars. They just basically tag this on there to cause people to buy it because they think that they're going to get hooked on it or something. It's just, again, it's ridiculous. Marvel should be deeply ashamed of themselves. Deeply. Now let's get on to the Rebirth parts. Now, with Aquaman, I really feel sorry for the artist, because it's got to be hard drawing water and all these damn fish, But, more power to him for getting through it. Anyways, I guess on one hand, if you're a new reader, it's great, because it gets you caught up into what's going on in the Aquaman world. But let me just tell you this much. Nothing has really changed since the beginning of Aquaman. They talk about how he's treated as a joke in the surface world, but yet he's the king of Atlantis, and yet he's got powerful friends like the Justice League, but yet people don't like him because his brother caused the tidal wave to destroy the city, and he's also disliked in Atlantis because they don't look at him as a true king. So again, if you read the first issue, or first few issues, I should say, of Aquaman from the New 52, you know exactly what's going on, and you'll realize that it's been taking 52 issues, and absolutely nothing has changed. And it just is like, I just want something new. This is the time where I think that this would have been a great time to refresh things a little bit. Make it, I don't know, just freshen things up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, let's open the windows and dust off the blankets and get the vacuum cleaner out, clean up some dust, But this is all it is. It's just a rehash in one issue of 52 issues of the same shit. Detective Comics Rebirth. Okay, this actually delivers at something that's a rebirth. Okay, basically what's going on is you have a secret organization, and that's targeting the next generation of heroes. For an example, spoiler, Orphan and Robin, and I don't know how Clayface fits into all this yet, but he's also targeted. Batman discovers this is what's going on. He enlists the aid of Batwoman because of her military experience. She knows how to work as a unit, and he respects her heavily. and he wants her to train this next round. Now, also, while that's going on, they're also giving you, okay, for those of you who don't know who Spoiler is, here's a couple pages. For those of you who don't know who Orphan is, here's a couple pages. So it gives you that little bit of, let's catch you up. In a way, it also humanizes Clayface. And it gives him I guess you can say it shows you why he could be picked as part of this group. The art is really good. The story, okay, now while I do have some issues with the storyline, I will say that I did enjoy this. And I think that, if anything, this did have more of that spirit of Rebirth behind it. It's definitely, I wouldn't say it's the book of the week or anything like that, but I would say overall it was a pretty solid start. I don't know, I'm still on the fence if I'll keep getting it, but I can say I at least enjoyed it. Anyways, that is my good, bad, disappointing for the Rebirth Civil Wars. Let me know what you guys thought, what you guys picked up out of these, and we'll have some more reviews later. Like, share, and until next time.